Knowing what we know now, would you have authorized the invasion?
I would have, and so would have Hillary Clinton, just to remind everybody, and so would have almost everybody that was confronted with the intelligence they got. In retrospect, the intelligence that everybody saw, that the world saw, not just the United States, was faulty. And in retrospect, once we invaded and took out Saddam Hussein, we didn't focus on security first.
All right, folks. Of course, that's Jeb Bush. He was talking to Megyn Kelly. He has since clarified a couple of times, and it was obvious by his answer that he heard knowing what we knew then, even though the question was knowing what we know now, because he said, and so would Hillary Clinton and others, because they voted for the war then also, but now they've all said, of course, they wouldn't if they knew what they knew now. So he obviously made a mistake. He misheard it, and I don't think it's a big deal. But we'll talk to Tom Tancredo, former congressman from the great state of Colorado, former candidate for U.S. president, and author of In Mortal Danger, The Battle for America's Border and Security. And Congressman, welcome. And it just seems to me like the media is making a big deal about this when it was just obvious by the answer. If he had just said, yes, knowing what I know now, I would have gone in. But when he then said, and so would Hillary Clinton and the others who voted for the war, he obviously was taking us back to then, not to now.
Right. But the reality is he's in the kitchen, buddy. And, and there's going to be plenty of heat, and he should be willing and ready to accept that. And the fact is, of course, he could have settled all of it and he could have settled it afterwards, even easier, by saying, you know, the real thing is no. You know, knowing what I know now, and anybody that has been there, I mean, I can tell you that from a very personal experience, knowing what I know now, I would not have voted to let the president go in there, and I did. I mean, we were told, everybody was told, that you know, things were dire, that he had weapons of mass destruction, and that that he was in contact with Al-Qaeda, all kinds of things, and everybody believed it. I mean, we had nothing else, no other information to dispute that with. Today we know better, and so the simple answer to that question would have been, no, I wouldn't do it.
But there were well, again, not if he truly heard. Knowing what you knew then, not knowing what we thought we knew then. So that's what I'm thinking he meant. But anyway, I mean, to me,
who asks knowing what you knew then? I mean, that's really not.
Yeah, I know.
Question.
But you know what
kind of a question is that?
And with all due respect to what you just said, and of course how you voted, I would have said, because to me, do you feel that your answer sends a wrong message to the men and women who sacrificed and those who died? Because I would have said, look, we got rid of Saddam Hussein. I would have gone in anyway, done it differently, just got rid of Saddam Hussein and then got the heck out of there. But yes, I would have gone in to get him, because in that climate of 9/11, in the aftermath, he was still a threat. If he didn't have them right then and there, he could have gotten them. He could have collaborated with Al-Qaeda. He wasn't obeying the UN resolutions. He spit in the face of those resolutions. There was still reason to go in and get him out, not to go nation build after that, but to get him out.
But Steve, I think then you open yourself up for a response from anybody that's questioning you, and that is, well, really, then do you think that what happened there, I mean, you're saying it was okay to go in for all the reasons you just articulated, but now look at it. You kicked a hornet's nest, and you have created the system, and I think maybe in the same place where Bush got that question, maybe it was the same person that eventually asked him, said something like, your father created ISIS. You know, and that's exactly where that goes if you defend that. I think if you take that position that it was, you defend the what happened and us going in and doing what we did, and you know, there's a lot of things that perhaps you could have done differently. But I remember I'll never forget this ever. This is what soured me so much on the administration, and I don't know, maybe on just life in Washington. I was talking to a guy who was the head of the. He was on the joint. He was a member of the highest military positions you can get, you know, our Joint Command. And he said he had since retired, and his job there with the Joint Chiefs was to do planning for, you know, and you plan for every eventuality. And so right after 9/11, they went to him, of course, and said, okay, what's the plan? And he came back with one, and he said, we're going to go into Afghanistan, we're going to kill Osama bin Laden if we can, we're going to destroy Al-Qaeda and the Taliban, and that's it. That's how we respond, because that's where they are.
Right.
He went to the White House. He was excuse me, called to the White House.
We got 30 seconds, Congressman. Go ahead, yeah.
He was told, what do you mean we're going to Afghanistan? We're going to Iraq. And he said, why? There's no purpose. But the plan to go into Iraq evidently was there long before we went in. Makes me very suspicious.
Okay.
And I'm sorry that I voted the way I did.
All right, Congressman, always great to talk to you. We'll continue
Likewise.
this at a later time. Thank you very much, sir. Give Me 5 is next, folks. Don't go away.